Hey guys, this is HHN Squad. Today I will be reviewing Asylum from Halloween Horror Nights. Now, this one is kind of a hard one to review. It was the first original maze created for Halloween Horror Nights. Halloween Horror Nights reopened in 2006. It came back with two mazes, and that was the House of Horrors, which was held in the Van Helsing haunted attraction, and then the House of Horrors ended up becoming a year-round attraction. But that's another video for another day, possibly. But Asylum was created in the Shrek 4D queue, but the first original maze that was created, that was just from scratch, was Asylum. It's hard to review a maze that I didn't personally walk through. There isn't much content online about it. I really could not find any history or anything about this maze. Let me just start out by saying it's not surprising. It's exactly what I would expect from Halloween Horror Nights in 2006. I mean, the scenic work on it is great. It looks like a very good attraction. It's like a home haunt, but amped up to that universal quality. Like black walls everywhere. Everything is really themed out nicely. Now, when it comes to story, that's something we have now with using IPs in different movies and TV shows and originals. And through Twitter, for the original mazes, he can put out the maze gist and the maze backstory and everything. He can do that now. Back in 2006, I don't think he really thought about that. So there is no backstory to this maze from what I can find. So really, there is no story. It's just a creepy asylum. It would have been more interesting to have somewhat of a narrative in the maze. Scenic work, although yes, I said it was very good, there is some odd things. There are some doors that are placed in random places that wouldn't really make sense and don't really look like they would be held in an asylum. And maybe that's just because of budget, maybe that's just because of inexperience, but a door that I would keep on my bedroom doesn't really seem like something that would hold in a patient. Actors. This is another thing that we can't really judge too much on now, because there are regulations now, and there are different rules, and John Murdy trains his actors differently now. And in this maze, if you watch the POVs, they're touching the actors. Not only are the guests touching the actors, but the actors end up getting really close to the guests and right up in their face. Now, that would never be okay now. If you had that happen now, that would be a lawsuit or someone would get punched. But I think the majority of the acting in this maze was really good. Everybody was on point. Everybody was into it. And in some ways, I would say the acting in this maze is better than acting now. Because now, all you have to do is press a button and jump out at someone. These actors were on it. And maybe it's just the POVs were taken early in the night. But they were really on it. And they were really giving it their all, every single person that came by. And it was constant good acting, good scaring, good putting you in your environment. The last thing is like special effects and stuff. There was a lot of good sound design. There was sound design has pretty much not changed throughout the years. And John, or whoever does the sound design for these mazes, they're really good, and they've kept a good scenic and good environment soundtrack for every maze that they've created. As to special effects, there really aren't any. And that's because it's in 2006, and that's 10 years ago, and they didn't need it. The actors made a maze. If you didn't have the actors, there wasn't a maze. It was just a spooky walkthrough, I guess you could say. So, I think this maze is great. Yes, we've improved a lot. When it comes to acting, I would say a 9 out of 10. When it comes to special effects, I would say a 1 out of 10 because there are some special effects when it comes to the chain link fence thing. When it comes to lighting, I can't really judge on that because all of the videos aren't really good. But from what I can see, the lighting is really good and up to par with now 9 out of 10 on lighting. Scenic design, I would say a 7 out of 10. Little tiny things where it doesn't really make sense and it doesn't really look like an asylum. Character design, I would say a 6. There are some molds that just don't really look really good, and they just don't really fit. There's some things that are just like, why is this in an asylum setting? They have told a story that it is an asylum, and you're walking through an asylum. So I'll give them that. But otherwise, I would just say maybe I'll give them a 5 out of 10. Overall, I would say this maze is at a 8 out of 10 for 2006 standards. Now, for today's standards, I think people would really hate this maze. So, this was definitely a good maze. Thank you guys for watching this. Subscribe to this channel, and this is HHN Squad.